Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We're here for our Wednesday roundup, all things that went on in Supercoach for round 8 of the NRL season. As you can see, this one is right up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you're just listening on an audio platform, you can head across to the YouTube. If you want to see the visual stuff, if you want to see everything, how I go, my scores, my team, the trades, etc., everything, if you're just more of a visual learner, head over to the YouTube. If not, well, I'll do my best to explain it to you guys regardless. But yeah, if you are joining us on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. You can see right up on the screen right now how we went in round 7. So not the best score. Top 15%, I scored 1,104. A few things didn't go our way. A few things went our way. No, actually not much went our way. One thing might have went our way, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, top 15%. We still managed green arrows in a week that I thought I might be sliding, so could not be happier for that. It's in these sort of weeks where you're not having the best week, you're not having a week that you think you're doing all that well in, and you still manage to see green arrows. That's all I can ask for. It's about twice that it's happened so far this season where I thought I was going to slide for sure. But that wasn't the case. We've managed to, go up 2,805 places. That puts us into a season rank of 9,207th. So we're in the top 10K now. It's a decent little spot to be. Top 6%, 7,391 total score. So yeah, not a bad little spot to be in. Definitely want to be just chipping up the fairway, to be honest. I'm pretty sure we'll continue to do that. Pretty happy with how my side's going, but then I look at like my girlfriend's side, for instance, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I actually am behind. I'm scoring decently more than her, like I'm above her in the ranks, but her side just seems a lot stronger than mine. So I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are in very similar boats that have a stronger side than mine, but we work with what we got and we're pretty happy with it. Yeah, as I said, 1,104 was my score for round 7, so top 15%, and we moved up 2,805 places to a season rank 9,207th. So that will do for that. We'll get straight into the actual team wrap up, everything, how each player scored in each position. And we'll just be going over that, as you guys can see up on the screen right about now. Hooker, quite a letdown. Brandon Smith scored 24. Now, he had been chipping away pretty nicely. His lowest score of the season might have been like a 36 or a 37, which isn't that great. But I never saw him dropping that low again. Not only did he drop that low again, he dropped even lower to 24. Quite a tough score to really take. Brandon Smith sort of someone I wanted to hold, maybe not for the season, but for that bye period, get him through to round 13 onwards, probably finish up at round 17 and send him on his way. And I was hoping to turn Joey Lussick into a gun that I'd play and not really have to play Brandon Smith and just leave him there for when I needed him. It's sort of putting a bit of a troublesome little theory to that. If Brandon Smith's going to be punching out 24s, it's not ideal. But Joey Lussick, he punched out 51 on the bench. Not good, and we'll get to the team list, but Brendan Hands has been named now. So his scores have got to be going down. He's still got a 14 break even, so I can have him for one more week. I'm thinking next week I might boost, guys, and I might just go really, really hard. I know I don't need to. I know I stress the importance of boosting. Like, there's a lot of things that go wrong in the season. I know mates of mine have literally used all their boosts because they've had every player go down injured or lots of concussions or suspensions, and that happens. That's Supercoach. The luck of it can be tough sometimes. So I don't want to use boosts unless I have to, but I think next week I just want to use a boost and send my team, set it all up really well. I still have 2 boosts for the rest of the season. Keep in mind, when it comes to those bye rounds, we get an extra boost anyway, so we don't have to boost for them. I finished last season holding a boost for the entire season because I never had the right moment to use it. So they might not be as important as I think they are. It's more so for when, something goes really, really wrong on your side and you have to just get players out. I'm going to trust that if that happens, look, I'll also have 2 boosts left. But that's next week. But hopefully we can turn Joey Lussick into a gun next week. Probably Harry Grant. I've been very high on Wade Egan, but I want the best, and I still think that's Harry Grant. He hasn't hit his best yet, but I think that'll be coming. But 51 from Joey Lussick, not that I played him. That's fine. That's a good score. And as I said, it's decent for cash development. My front row department, bit of a letdown here. Jack DeBellin, the pod that we brought in a couple weeks ago, has gone 50, 53, then 43. So very much not the best scores from someone I thought was going to be 65, 70 average. Yeah, not ideal. In saying that, he's still playing really good minutes. I think the problem in his score in this one was the Dragons were all over the Warriors. They were attacking and not defending. And Jack DeBellin normally makes every tackle in a set of six. So when he's not getting all those defensive stats, it limits his score a little bit. So 43, not ideal. Definitely not worry stations. I don't think I'm going to sell him for a fair while. Maybe even hold him for, maybe the season. Who knows? But we'll have to worry about that later. But 43, not ideal. Terrell May, 37, also only played about 30 minutes. So I don't know what Trent Robinson is doing with the rotations. It's not ideal for me in Supercoach, that's for sure. But Terrell May, we know what he can score when he gets decent minutes, so I'm just going to hold him. I think everybody's going to be in a very similar boat. You just hold him and let him rock. I can understand if you do just want to up him to Payne Haas and not have to worry about that because Payne Haas is consistent, or even adding Fanua Blake. But I don't really want to use too many trades on front row, especially when Terrell May can punch out 80s at any given day. So yeah, 43 and 37 in the front row, not ideal. On the bench, Sam Hughes punched out another 68, another try for Sam Hughes. So he's now got a break even of 13. Obviously on the buy, so no price rise to come this week. But next week he'll make a good little price rise, probably get himself up to around 400k, which is incredible. Didn't really think after the first few rounds of the season, I didn't think we were ever going to see Sam Hughes make that sort of cash, but he's gone and done it. I'll be looking to move him on eventually, but again, I don't really want to use trades in the front row. Maybe I could move Josh Curran there and then bring in a second row of some description, but we'll have to see. Regardless, Sam Hughes, 68, happy with that. Viliami Fifita obviously didn't play. He's my nuff. In the second row, Kai Pearce-Paul, 84. Again, not really too much going on with Kai Pearce-Paul. The Knights were very handily beaten. There's no try or try assist. Oh, he might have got the try assist for Bradman Best. I didn't actually check that. But regardless, 84 points, face value, those points are incredible, and I'm really happy with them, and I'm sure everybody else who owns him is as well. 59 from Josh Curran. Yep, stock standard, what we want, what we need. He's just going to keep doing that. Obviously on the buy now, so we'll have to sit him for a week. But yeah, when he comes back, I'm happy to just chip away at those near 60 scores for the rest of the season. Angus Crichton, who we brought in, only a 52, but once again, passing the eye test with flying colours. He looks incredible, Angus Crichton. We mentioned him in the review that he's just back to his best. It's like 160 odd meters, 70 post contact. Might have been more than 70 post contact, but he's playing some really, really good football. Roosters have got the Dragons this week. Maybe he crosses for a try. I know I'm going to put a little bit of cash on him to hopefully score a try in that one. But yeah, 52 points, that's fine. We move with that. Bo Fermor, 49. Once again, didn't play him. He's just, I don't know. He's an enigma, Bo Fermor. Just not the best scores, but 49 is not awful. He's only in 11% of teams at the moment. Break even 46. So I could hold him for one more week. He won't really make cash. He might make, I don't know, 5k or something, but I don't suppose he'll be going lower than 46. At least I'd really hope not. Morgan Smithies, 45. He's up to almost 500k, break even 41. So maybe one more week in Morgan Smithies. This is the problem, is I'm going to have all of my cheapies peak at the exact same time, and I'm not going to have enough trades to sell all of them. So that's going to be frustrating. But look, we'll work with that next week. Joe Chan, he did end up playing off the bench, 42 off the bench, incredible. Leaves him with a break even of minus 14. He made almost 43k. He's going to make some more. He's been named again, so fantastic for us owners. Nico Hines, 142. Yeah, as you guys know, you can see that there's a VC on him. I was never planning on VCing. I went straight C on Charles Nickel Klukstad, which we'll get to his score. Look, yeah, it's the tales of Supercoach. In hindsight and just in general, always VC someone playing in the early rounds and then see someone playing in the later rounds. Should have done that. It was always going to be Hines if I was to do that. But I believed in Chance Nickel Klukstad very highly. I was all for the straight captain. He didn't score bad chance, but definitely not 142. In saying that, Fox League stats are ridiculous. Hines did not play a game deserving of 142. They gave him an extra try assist, an extra line break assist, all this crap. And I'm like, what is going on? 142. It was a game that might have been like a 90. He scored 142. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's stupid. And like, I own him. Like, I'm not complaining. I am complaining, but like for me, it's helping me out. But it's why it's so stupid, because for people who don't own him, not that there's many people out there, it's a real kick in the dick when someone plays Like, he played good, don't get me wrong. He played bloody good, Nico Hines, but it wasn't 142 score good. It's just, yes, Fox Sports, their stats are so stupid. They need to go with just NRL stats, but that's never going to happen. But yeah, 142 from Hines. Happy with that in our halfback position. Luke Brooks, 41. Not happy with that. Obviously, was quite happy that Cleary was named to miss another week so I could keep Brooks for that Titans matchup, hoping to get something good out of Brooks and then move him. Not the case. 41 with a try assist in there as well. Yeah, Luke Brooks, I think his time is coming to an end. Nathan Cleary obviously named this week, so we'll have a look at that in the trade talks. But yeah, Luke Brooks 41, not ideal. Dylan Brown, another 60-point game. He scored another junk time try. The junk time points have been the story of my season, to be honest. It's really saving me, getting me out of some pickles. But 60 points from Dylan Brown, we take it at face value. But if you read into those stats and how he scored that 60, not ideal. Some more changes for the Eels coming up, which we'll get into. So we'll have to see how they go. But again, I'm just holding Brown. I don't know what else there is. Lachlan Galvin, 35, his lowest score of the season, brings him up to a break-even of 15, so he'll break that next week and probably look to make some more cash. Happy for that. Valentine Holmes, 54, not great, but hey, still happy to have anything above 50s from centre wings. Yeah, I mean, Cowboys got absolutely trounced, so I know Val scored, so that always helped. Did Val scored? I'm pretty sure he scored. Look, again, we're just taking some scores at face value. The 54, it's in there. It's in for the record books. He scored me those points, and we'll look, for the next week if he can score any better. Beyond that, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, 47 in base. Jesse Ramian, 64 in base. And Kale Ero, 53 in base. Fantastic stuff. All of those scores are literally just base stat merchants. Any attacking stats that come for those guys, and they're going 80 plus with like one try. And I'm all for that if they get attacking stats. Ramian hasn't scored a try since the round one. Cal Ero hasn't scored since his first game this season. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck hasn't scored since he was on the wing. I'm not sure when they'll come, but I'm not looking to sell these guys. I think if you're looking to sell any of these guys, you've got not a whole lot of issues in your team, and maybe your cash gen wasn't that great, and you have to look to get rid of certified guns. I wouldn't call them guns, but they're bordering on guns. Val's definitely a gun, but he's not in this conversation. But yeah, 47 from Roger, 64 Ramian, 53 Ero. Happy with that. Now, where my week went really well is I kept Jack Bostock for a week, and I put a reserve on him to get me a few points. A few points he did. 131 from Jack Bostock. Fantastic. Really saved me. It's sort of annoying because now he's got a -5 break even. So I'm going to have to keep him for another week or two. But honestly, it's not that much of an issue. I might even play. I'm probably going to play him. With the Dolphins got Knights in Suncorp and Knights don't have Ponga. I'm probably going to play him again. He could just keep scoring. How many people... What's his ownership at? Still in 26%, but he would have been at 40 odd or something. So a lot of people did sell. So yeah, really happy to own him now. Get a few more points out of him. A couple more price rises and move him on. He'll be 600, almost 700k potentially. And yeah, we can move him to any winger we want. So 131 from Bostock. Fantastic. Love to see that. Ethan Strange, 30. Not great. And James Schiller, 35. Not great. We didn't expect those Raiders boys to do well, which is why we didn't put any reserves on them. But they're there for their cash gen. 51 break even for Strange now, and I think it's about a 45 or something for Schiller. 43 for Schiller. So they're essentially at their peak as well. I'm probably going to look to move one of them on maybe this week. And then I'm not sure next week. Well, next week is going to be a massive trade week if we don't get injuries. So fingers crossed we don't get them. But yeah, we'll move into trade talks a bit later. Here we are, the fullbacks. Charles Nickel-Cookstad, 77 points. We put the post up on the story if you follow the Instagram. If you don't, go and follow it at Chip and Chase Podcast. But basically just having a bit of a laugh, having a bit of joke around, saying, remind me not to captain players playing in the early games because Chance, he was doing fine, but not fantastic. Not captain scores, and the Warriors were just playing shit. Then he got a try assist at the end. Again, shouldn't really be a try assist. I think technically it should have been a Rocco Berry try assist, but Fox Sports stats, it's helping me out, thankfully, but they're still stupid. But yeah, he got that try assist, got up to 77 points, which is fantastic. Doubled that to 154. No, 144. 154. My bad. 154 points. it's fine considering what could have been, like what it was going to be without that. Happy with that. Obviously, could have been the Hines, but we're not going to look back on that. I was always going to straight see Nickel Klukstad, and look, we live with the results. Kalen Ponga's 14 was the dampener. So we went from a couple ends of the spectrum there. We went from Bostock, real win, Chance Nickel Klukstad, and then Kalen Ponga, the dampener on my week, 14 points, and looks like he could even miss the season now, which is absolutely awful for Ponga. It's absolutely awful for the Knights. Hopefully he won't. He's going to see a specialist. Hopefully he can come back after a couple of months. So they're looking at 2 months minimum. But hopefully it's not the season for Ponga, because that would just be awful to lose a player, lose a superstar like him out of our game for the entire season. But 14 points, played injured, didn't do much even when he was, it's nothing on Ponga. Yeah, it's just the 14 score. He's definitely going to be a trade out for anyone who owns, like myself. Some really good options who we will get to. But yeah, for now, that's everything how my team scored. We will move into the team list news. Once again, got that over on this screen, so don't mind me just sort of looking over here. I'll try and direct all traffic to you guys when I've got any other interesting points to say. But to kick things off for round 8, we have the Warriors and the Titans going up against it. The Warriors, not too many changes for them. Kurt Capewell is out with a throat injury, I've heard. So Jacob Laban gets his shot to start at second row. Fantastic for Laban. Dylan Walker returns on the bench. He's with Tom Ale, Paul Roach, and Zion Mayu makes his NRL debut. Absolute bopper, big bopper of a front rower. He's a weapon. There's a lot of raps on Zion, so really excited to see how he goes in this one. But those are the only changes for the Warriors. For the Titans, not much going on here. Of course, Tanner Boyd and Kieran Foran are still the halves. Brimo is still the fullback. Their forward pack is the same. Fafita named to start, but probably will start off the bench again. We'll have to see. And their interchange is the same as well. For the Dragons, there was something here, wasn't there? Maybe not. Farmanu Brown, who was a late inclusion last week, is once again on the interchange, jersey 14 for Farmanu Brown. But that's the only sort of ins and outs there. For the Roosters, there's a few changes. Dominic Young returns from his suspension on the wing, which moves Suali'i back into the centres with Joseph Manu. Sam Walker also returns from his concussion. He's at halfback, which moves Luke Keary to 6 and Connor Watson to the bench. Their forward pack is exactly the same, and their bench is Connor Watson, Nahafahu White, Egan Butcher, and Terrell May. We move on to the Storm and the Rabbitohs. So for the Storm, nothing has changed. Let's skip over that. They've got the exact same 17 that lined up in round 7. 7? Yeah, in round 7. For the Rabbitohs, they came off the bye last week, so sort of changes, but Jai Gray once again at fullback. Jacob Gagai, for anyone who still owns him. Really good for you guys because he has been named on that wing, the Alex Johnston wing, but not sure how long Johnston's still out for. So good to see Gagai get that shot. Really good for super coaches who still own him. Beyond that, Shaq Mitchell, he starts at front row. Of course, Tavita Totola. Apparently he's looking at a 12-week recovery for his foot injury. Really tough stuff. I was an owner, but obviously I sold last week for... Who did I sell him for? Jack DeBellin? No, Angus Crichton. That explains it. But yeah, so Shaq Mitchell is now starting at front row, and Cameron Murray returns from concussion, but he never really missed a game, but he's at 13. Mamazelis is on the bench. Damien Cook has been recalled to the side at hooker, and Jai Arrow also returns from injury for his first game since round 1. So really good stuff for the Rabbitohs there. Moving into the next game, that is the Seagulls and the Eels. For the Seagulls, Josh Alloye returns from suspension, and that pushes Matt Lodge to the bench and Aaron Woods out of the side. Nathan Brown, who was named last week and didn't play, he's back in jersey 17. Those are the only changes for the Seagulls. They go up against the Eels. Now, the Eels have made some changes. They have dropped my boy Sean Russell. They've brought Micah Sevo back into the side, though I assume Micah will play on the left, and they'll move Bailey Simonson to the right, who is the other winger. Ethan Sanders makes his NRL debut at 5'8", but I'd expect him to play more of a halfback role and let Dylan Brown play his normal game at 5'8", considering Ethan Sanders has been a halfback through the grades. But really good stuff there. Awesome to see Ethan Sanders make his debut. Off to the Raiders next year, I believe. So hopefully he can just come out and do some wonders for his current squad before departing at the end of the season. Their forward pack is almost the same. The only difference is Ryan Madison has been named at second row with Bryce Cartwright out. I'm not quite sure why Bryce Cartwright is out, but he's out nonetheless. Could mean good things for Madison. You know, he's at a really, really low price at the moment. If he can get anything back to what we know Ryan Madison's capable of, he could be a really good budget pickup. But we'll have to wait and use this game as a bit of a wait and see, and just have a look at him. And we'll wait till there's some more news about Bryce Cartwright, because I can't find anything about what Cartwright is out with. Beyond that, their interchange is completely different. As I said, Brendan Hands makes his return on the interchange, so it means some bad things for Joey Lussick owners like myself. So Hands on the bench with Makahisi Makatoa, Joe Offa-Hengawi stays on there, and Kelma Tuilangi, he returns on the bench, which means Luca Moretti, Dejan Arce, Wiramu Greg, Blaze Talangi, all those players dropped out, but they're all listed in the reserves as well. Moving into the next game, we have the Tigers and the Broncos. So for the Tigers, the only change is that Junior Tupou is out with the injury he sustained in round 7. So the Union speedster, Solomon Alamalo, I definitely butchered, apologies to that. But yeah, Solomon Alamalo, he makes his NRL debut on the wing, which is exciting. Not sure how long Tupou's out for, but maybe there's an option there if he kills it. But again, we get a few looks at him before anything happens or price rises change or anything. So just take a good look at him. Once again, their halves are the same. Their forward pack has changed a little bit. John Bateman has moved to 13. Samuela Fainu starts at second row, and that moves Fanua Pole onto the bench. So their bench is Latu Fainu, Alex Twal, Alex Seyfarth, and Fanua Pole. But not too much of note for the Tigers. For the Broncos, massive changes here. We have, what have we got? Who was there? I'm missing, Selwyn Cobbo, sorry. Selwyn Cobbo has missed the side. Not sure why. They haven't really listed why, but he is gone. Katoni Staggs is partnered with Jesse Arthurs in the centres, who makes the move from the wing, with Dean Mariner returning on the wing for Jesse Arthurs. Jock Madden is the 6, with Ezra Mam also missing. Not sure what happened to Mam, but he's out. Adam Reynolds is the 7. He makes his return, so really good stuff for the Broncos there. In the forward pack, Payne Haas makes his long-awaited return from injury. He's named at front row, which pushes Fletcher Baker back to the bench. The other big in, Brendan Piakora makes his return from injury in the second row. So any of you who are still owning or holding Brendan Piakora, massive win for you guys. I am not one of those, but hopefully he can score a few tries there and reward you guys for your patience and for holding on to him. But those are the only changes for the Broncos in this one. We move into the Cowboys taking on the Panthers. For the Cowboys, not much going on. Only thing that's of note is that Jason Taumalolo has been dropped to the bench. Griffin Neem is now starting at front row. And there was one other thing. Thomas McHaley comes onto the bench for his Cowboys debut at the expense of Jack Gosiewski. So those are the only changes for the Cowboys. For the Panthers, we do have the return of Taylor May, who missed last week's game through personal issues, I believe it was, so we won't read into that too much, but he's been named in this one. Nathan Cleary is the big one, of course. He makes his return from his hamstring injury at halfback, so really good stuff for Nathan Cleary and for anybody looking to purchase him, or for anyone who managed to hold him through all this time. If you managed to hold him through all this time, fair play to you, because that's a lot of money that you haven't been able to play with. But Nathan Cleary has returned. Their forward pack is the same. So that is all for that game. We move into the Dolphins and the Knights. For the Dolphins, not too much of note at all. The only change is that Kurt Donahue returns from suspension, and that pushes Sean O'Sullivan out of the squad. Not really Supercoach relevant there. For the Knights, the big one, of course, Kalen Ponga missing with injury, with that foot injury he picked up. David Armstrong has been named to make his NRL debut at fullback. Obviously, don't go early. We stress that all the time. You get a couple looks before their prices change. The other thing to note is that David Armstrong has primarily been playing wing for the Knights in New South Wales Cup. Fletcher Sharp, their 19-year-old gun fullback. There's a lot of raps on Fletcher Sharp, especially from myself as well. I love everything about Fletcher Sharp, but he's been out injured for a little bit. I'd assume when he comes back, Fletcher Sharp is the favourite to be the fullback. But if David Armstrong kills it, then, you know, maybe not. But definitely don't go early. Just wait a couple of weeks. Let's see David hold the spot, make cash, bring him in after that. But yeah, don't go early. But regardless, really good to see David making his NRL debut. He's about 23, I think. So he's been waiting in the ranks a little bit. And he is a gun as well. You would have seen him in the trials. He scored a few tries in the trials. Really fast player. So really good to see him make his debut. Rest of their side is stock standard, and that is all for that game, which means we move into the Raiders and the Sharks, the last game of the round. The big news here is, of course, that Jamal Fogarty is out of this game with the injury that he picked up, which means KO Weeks has been named at number 7 to start. I expected Adam Cook. To be honest, Adam Cook has been killing it in reserve grade for the Raiders. Not the case. I've gone with KO. It could be really bad for the Raiders, to be honest. I don't see KO or Ethan Strange as halves. Well, sorry. They're definitely halves. I'm seeing them as half backs. I think their kicking game could be quite a struggle. I think KO's best parts of his game is his off the cuff and just out of nowhere fast play. And if he's at halfback, I'm not sure how much he can really do that. But we'll have to see how that all goes because he is named in the number 7. Beyond that, Simi Sasangi also named at 12 once again. Played a lot of the halves last week, scored a nice try. He's set for a good price rise at bottom dollar. Could be looked for a pickup if you wanted, but I'm sort of in that boat where, look, I've already got all these cheapies. I've already got all of that. It's time to start turning them into guns and let's go for points. But if you go for Simi Sasangi, I don't hate it, but not really for me. Beyond that, the rest of their team is the same. For the Sharks, the news is that Braden Trindle has been stood down from the Sharks. I'm not sure if it's an NRL imposed sanction just yet. I think it's just out of the Sharks camp. But if the NRL do also look to, stand him down, suspend him, whatnot, we'll have to wait and see how long that's out for. Not sure too many people own Braden Trindle. If you do, definitely get off. If you don't, wouldn't be looking to jump on. But also, I wouldn't be looking to jump on Daniel Atkinson, who was the man named to replace him. Not until we know more about that Braden Trindle stuff. Also, as we said, Atkinson gets a couple games before he price rises, so you can have a look and see how he performs. But Daniel Atkinson is the man to replace Trindle at 6. Beyond that, their forward pack is the exact same, and their bench is the exact same. Of course, the sad news that Dale Finucane has been forced to announce his immediate retirement from the NRL due to injury. So that's really unfortunate, but he wasn't in their side last week, so it's not too Supercoach relevant, but just sad for the game, to be honest, because he's one of the better players and one of the better guys of the NRL. So really disappointing for Finucane, but congrats in your retirement and enjoy. But that wraps us up for all of the team list news. So now we go into our trade talks. Let's start off once again, as we do every week, a bit of a segue, a bit of a, hey, go check out the Instagram. We'll look at the post that I do over on my Instagram, our pod talks. Ignore that. Sorry, just a couple of technical issues leading into that one. But yes, our pod buys here up on the screen. As I said, go check out the Instagram if you're not already following. This is just a few players that we do every week that we think are some good pod picks, low ownership. For those of you who don't know what pod is, it means point of difference. So they're your low ownership players that you think could just make moves for you that a lot of people don't own, so they're not going to be making those moves as well. So yeah, just point of difference players. You can see the 3 up on the screen for this round. We've got a lot of stuff written down here, but I'll just skim through these, let you guys go over all those stats, read those stats. If you're just listening on the audio and you can't see this, as I said, it's up on the Instagram and you can go follow that along and just read through them and whatnot. We'll get started on our first one. Charles Nickel-Klukstad, another Warrior. I know it's not just my Warriors bias. I've just really liked the Warriors draw. I have liked how they've been playing minus last week against the Dragons. But Charles Nickel-Klukstad, he is our first pod. Once again, you guys can read through all those stats there. You can see how he's scoring his points through his graph, his upcoming opponents, all that neat stuff. I'm going to read over some of the stuff that I've written over to the right-hand side. So Charles Nickel-Klukstad. With the long-term injury to Kalen Ponga, many super coaches have been left scrambling for a replacement. While the obvious choice may be to downgrade to Reece Walsh, C&K's stats provide a compelling argument as to why he should come into considerations at fullback, especially for those wanting to be different. Coming off a score of 77 in a team that was comfortably beaten The Warriors will be looking to bounce back in a big way, and with upcoming fixtures against the struggling Titans and Knights, CNK could be set to explode. And if not, 50 in base means he's safe as houses. Is it Chan's season? There you go. We've got all that stuff written. We don't need to talk too much about it. That's literally me writing that as a bit more context for the situation. But yeah, I do think Chan's is a fantastic buy for those who own Ponga and are looking to sell. Of course, as I said, Walsh is probably the obvious one. But yeah, Chance, it's food for thought. And his pod, which is why we're including him in this. I obviously own him. I owned him a couple of weeks ago when Tedesco got injured as my very pod play. He was at 0% ownership then. He's at 5% now. I still think he's a great pickup for those who want to be a bit different. But we'll move into our second, Jason Saab. Very interesting. So let's read through what we got here. I say, you wanted pod? Well, Saab is about as pod as it gets at 0.7% ownership. While he has never traditionally been a certified Supercoach gun, Saab has always been more than capable of a casual ton. Manly play away from home just once in their next 5 games, and we know how good they are in front of a home crowd. So I expect a lot of tries to come his way over this period. With a low break even, now is the perfect time to jump on, and he looms as a great pod target for those looking to sell the peaking Schiller and Strange in the centre wing. I see Saab at worst being a fantastic plug-and-play 6th/7th centre wing option based on matchups. There it is, said it all there. He's at a decently low price. He's scored really well in his first 2 games. He's set for that next price rise. He's only played the 2 games this season, Vegas and now last week's. Scoring really well. That 3-round average is technically a 2-round average, but 74.5. He's set to make a little bit of money. As I said, lots of home games, some games against weaker opponents, or at least opponents not known for defending, which means Manly can put points on Saab. I see him scoring a few tries. As I said, for the games like the Broncos and the Storm in the back end of these 5 rounds, maybe sit him. But beyond that, you should get a lot of good tries out of him, at least in the next 3 weeks. You could make cash. If you want to sell him after that, you can. If you want to hold on to him and use him as a plug and play, you very much can. Either way, I really like Saab as a pod pickup for round 8. Last but not least, what has gone on there? Last but not least, Isaiah Yeo. So we'll read what we've got about here. Okay, I'm bending the rules a bit here because at just under 11% ownership, Yeo isn't an out-and-out pod pick. But with the scores he's putting out, I simply couldn't leave him off the list. He's putting out absolutely elite scores on a consistent basis in a fairly mediocre position so far in 2024. His base is huge, his minutes are huge, he plays for the best team in the comp, and I don't see his output changing. We can keep waiting and praying he drops cash and we can get on him at a reduced price, but it hasn't happened yet and I'm not convinced it will. And the longer you wait, the more you set yourself behind. Time to pay up for premium. That's all it is there. Yeah, not, technically pod, just under 11%. With these pods, yet we sort of look to go 10% or below. So he's bordering on that. He's definitely still not highly owned. So he's pod enough, definitely for sure. Yeah, he's just doing some ridiculous things. Look at that. 3-round average, 80.3. I think his normal season average is about that as well. It's ridiculous what he's doing. Yes, season PPM, 1.03, which means he's averaging over 80 for the season. It's ridiculous. And we keep waiting and waiting for it to drop and his output to go down. It's just not happening. Let's be real. If you want to get on him, if you want to be the best super coacher, pay up, put him in the side and just forget about him. Let him do his thing. Upside isn't tremendous. But in saying that, he also hasn't scored a try this season. So if he does, he can probably go 100 plus in those games. Yeah, look, I think he's matchup proof. I think, it's just everything about Isaiah Yeo. I think you're going to want to own him, to be honest. I don't, and I really do want to. But that is our pod segment. Once again, please check out the Instagram. Go show this post some love. Only uploaded less than an hour ago. Try and get it out just in time for the podcast. But yeah, go show this some love. Please do follow the Instagram. But now we'll get into the trade talks of what I am going to do and the best options for the week. So as we come down here, we can see the most traded in, not in my team. Reece Walsh coming in for a lot of players off the back of his 110 score, decently low break even and very, very low price for Reece Walsh. Look, very good trade-in option. We mentioned him a little bit in the Chancellor Klukstad chat. a lot of people will be looking to bring him in for Kalen Ponga. And if you don't own Kalen Ponga, are you looking to bring him in? Are you trading a gun like a Trebojevic or a Drinkwater, a Dylan Edwards? I'm not sure. I don't have to worry about that too much, thankfully, because I am in the luxury that I can just trade Ponga to him. And since I own Charles Klukstad, who's the other guy I just mentioned as a pod, I will be trading to Reece Walsh, which means I'm still running without Tom Trebojevic, which is terrifying. I'm still running without Drinkwater, which is pretty scary itself when the Cowboys actually play well. But if I was in the boat that I owned Drinkwater and Trebojevic, would I sell them? No. Maybe you could make a case for Drinkwater. Like, you make a lot of money by doing that trade to to Walsh, sorry. But it's still a trade, and you're trading a gun. I still think Drinkwater's got a lot of great scores in him. I wouldn't be trading unless you're forced to, which, as I said, luckily I am, so I can just do this. But regardless, Reece Walsh, good trading target. I think there's a reason he's the most traded in. Nathan Cleary, the second most traded in. We've been waiting. Everybody's sort of been holding their horses and just waiting for him to return so we could jump on him. I'm one of those people. I'm looking to get him. Not this week, though. Now, hear me out. I just don't like that. It's a hamstring injury. I don't trust that. He's pretty late in the round, so if I made my trades, I can't really reverse them. Well, I can't reverse them because Manly play first, and I'd have to trade Luke Brooks for it. I'm going to wait a week. He's got an 80 break even. He could very well hit that and go up in price, but I don't expect him to go up too much. I'm just going to play it safe and wait 1 week on him. I don't want to hold Luke Brooks, don't get me wrong, but I think I'm just going to. The other thing is I really want a certain player for a matchup this week, so I want to jump on them early. But Nathan Cleary, I don't begrudge anyone for jumping on him this week. I would myself if I wasn't just a little bit cautious and I didn't have another plan in mind. But Nathan Cleary, fantastic pickup this week. And just, solidify your halfback position, guys. Max Plath is the next most traded in. Now, very interesting one. Obviously set for some good cash. He's already made some good cash. He's made over 100K, -6 break even, 2RF 5/8 eligible. It's not bad at all. You could, no, you couldn't. I was going to say you could go Galvin to him for money, but you can't. He's actually more expensive than Galvin already, but you could bring him in at second row and let him just make some money there off the back of his 94. I don't see him scoring like 2 tries a game each week, but he still should score decently enough to make a little bit more money, so I don't hate it. Simi Sasangi, the next most traded in, we already mentioned him, so we won't touch on him too much, but yeah, not a bad shout for price rise, -40 break even. You can put him in at center wing. It's definitely not a bad option. But I'm not sure what his role is, how locked in he is. I know Zach Hosking is out for a long time, but is it still going to be Simi Sasangi's spot? We'll have to wait and see. As I said, I'm targeting points regardless, so I don't really want to do that trade just yet. And for Noah Blake, the next most traded in. Interesting, very interesting. I don't know if it's because he's up against the Titans and they think he's going to score a try, or just because he's been putting out some really good scores in general. Regardless, I don't hate it. Like, he's a good option to bring in. I thought more people would be targeting Payne Haas, though, especially against the Tigers. If you think Fanua Blake can score against the Titans, then you could still argue that Payne Haas can score against the Tigers. But regardless, Fanua Blake, not a bad shout. The most traded out, Kalen Ponga, speaks for itself. Luke Brooks, these are the most traded out in my team. I haven't looked at the most traded out in general. But yeah, Luke Brooks speaks for itself. You want to go to Cleary. Strange and Schiller are the next most traded out at peak prices, so fair enough. And Terrell May, which I can't really get behind. But as we said, in terms of what I am doing personally, Kalen Ponga is out, and we just mentioned him. Round 7 points. Reece Walsh is in. Bang, bang, thank you. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. To be honest, just frees up almost 250 odd K I make off that trade for a player who's still an absolute gun. And then, as I said, I could do the Brooks to Cleary, and I'd still have 50K or something left. I want to do the peaking Ethan Strange to Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. I know Dallin hasn't been scoring overly fantastic, but I think the Warriors are going to look for a massive bounce back against the Titans this week. I think on that right-hand edge, Dallon's always good to score. Even in a game they lost last week, he still scored a try. Only 61 with a try, so it's not fantastic, but I really believe in Dallon to score some tries. I love their matchup. As I said, we mentioned in the Chance Nickel Klukstad stuff, we've got the Titans this week, who are the worst team in the NRL. Then they have the Knights, who the Knights without Ponga, I don't see doing too well. So I think it's a good time to jump on some more Warriors players. I now have 3 with Chance, Roger, and Dallon. They'll probably set and forget me. I don't really want to own too many more. Maybe adding Fanua Blake down the track, but we'll have to. That's a long way in my future. So Dallin Watene-Zelezniak is my second trade. Still 271,000 in the bank. Not quite enough to get me Luke Brooks to Nathan Cleary in one hit next week. So we'll have to do some more trades next week. As I said, looking to do some boosts. Well, a boost next week. But yeah, really happy with these options. As I said, it would give me no more joy. It'd suck for you guys, but God, I really hope it happens that Nathan Cleary is a late withdrawal and he doesn't play this game and everybody's used the trade. They can't stop it. And then you're stuck with him. That would be really fantastic. I don't know if it's going to happen. I assume the fact that they've named him and they've waited this long to name him means he's good to go. But I would really like him not to play just because I'm scared of what he can produce. Regardless, Dallin, he is into my side, which leaves us in the next spot. We are here for the sit v start options. Sorry, just making sure that one was still recording. But yeah, sit v start options. Well, Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, you come into the side. You're going to be a starting player. Look at that, 4 guns now. I don't know if you can call them out-and-out guns. I'd say Dallin and Val are, elite. And Ramian and Tui Vasashek are sort of bordering on a bit less, but still really happy with them. In terms of my sit v starts, well, Bostock, he's going to get another reserve. He's going to keep it. Dolphins up against the Knights at Suncorp, a Knights team without Ponga. I think Bostock, he is scoring some points again. Reece Walsh obviously is in the side. Now, do I captain him against the Tigers is the next question. Oh, damn, yeah, okay. Who would be my captain option besides that? Nico Hines, probably. I think I do captain. No, I will. Can I VC? Let me work out my VC real quick. Can I VC? Hang on. Let's look at captains later. Jesus Christ. Sit v starts. Walsh or Nickel Klukstad, either of them, no matter who I decide to VC. But one of them gets a reserve. So there's 2 reserves down in my sit v start. Let's go over to my second row. Curran's out, so Bo Fermor, you're getting another run, mate. I never thought I'd see the day, but he's in again, Bo Fermor. He's scoring another try. Is he? No, he's against the Warriors. He's not scoring a try. But Bo Fermor makes his way into the side. Now, what are we doing down here? There we go. Morgan Smithies, sorry, mate. You are no longer a reserve. And Kale Ero is my last. So a lot of upside in my reserves this week. We have Luke Brooks, Jack Bostock, Kale Ero, and Chance Nickel Klukstad. I've gone for the backs this week. Luke Brooks, definitely the weakest of all of these options. But against the Eels, who can leak points, as we know, maybe he can score a try and have a try assist and score 100 like he should have scored against the Titans last week. It could be hoping, that's for sure. But, we're here to hope. We're here to pray. Luke Brooks, repay the faith I've shown in you, mate, and score me well in this one. But those are my 4. If you're in the boats of having to play Shillers or Strangers, if you own them, against the Sharks, I wouldn't. Maybe Strange, but definitely not Schiller. In terms of forwards, like Morgan Smithies, also wouldn't be doing it. Look, it's going to be hard. I think maybe people are going to struggle to do reserves this week. Not so much because they don't have enough players, but because there's no real good matchups. Like you don't want to play Raiders against the Sharks. You don't want to play Tigers against the Broncos. All of the Bulldogs players are out. You don't want to play Joey Lussick against anyone because the Brendan Hand's on the bench. So it's going to be a little bit tougher. I'm really happy with my reserves this week. So yeah, let's lock and load that. In terms of my captains. Now, let's just go through the entire week and talk about it. For the first game, VC options you'd be looking at here. Warriors and Titans. Yes, I still think throwing a VC on Chance Nickel Klukstad. I'm not going to do a captain again. But a VC on Chance, if you own him, really good option. A VC on Dallin, if you own him, don't hate that as well. A VC on Sean Johnson, if you own him, it's worth throwing a VC on. If Johnson's named, which he is, you'd expect him to play and expect him to goal kick. Now, there's a lot going on about how Johnson's managing an injury at the moment. He is not training. He's just showing up to the games and playing. And they've already talked that they will. Andrew Webster's already said that he'll look to rest Johnson at a couple points this season to help manage that injury. I think it's an Achilles problem, which is, if you're not familiar with the Achilles, it's your heel essentially. It's a pretty significant injury. If you do your Achilles, you're normally out for a season. And he's done it before, Johnson. So they'll be looking to manage that. I don't know if it'll be against the Titans, but also if the Warriors get to a big lead, they might just sub him off. So you can still VC him because he could score 100 in 50 minutes against the Titans. He always manages to score tries against the Titans as well. Has a really good record against them. So you could VC him, but I wouldn't be looking to do it, especially with the other halfback options this week that could be potential captains. So Sean, not for me. Chance, yes, I love it as a VC. Dallin, it's not a bad VC either. Dragons and Roosters. Now, I'm not sure there's many players in either of these sides that you own that you're looking to captain or vice captain. If anybody still owns a James Tedesco, not a bad vice captain option, but I can't imagine people do after the injury and with every other gun fullback back in. Wouldn't be looking at anyone in this game. Storm and Rabbitohs. Now, this one is interesting. Rabbitohs, been a bit of a basket case. I'm hoping that they come back a little bit after their bye. I'm really hoping that has sort of rejuvenated them and got the playing group together. But they are going to Amy Park to take on the high-flying Storm. So I don't think it can be all sunshine and rainbows for the Rabbitohs, which means a Ryan Pappenhausen, a Harry Grant, a Cameron Munster, if you own them, all good VC options. Nick Meaney, if you want to be really bold, if you did pick him up, not an awful option as well. But definitely not captain options. They're all VC options. Seagulls and Eels. Tom Trbojevic speaks for himself. I'd VC or captain Trbojevic every round, no matter who they're up against, to be honest. So, yeah, Tom Trbojevic, I'd still be looking to VC on him just because of the later matchups. But, yeah, Tom Trbojevic, I do not hate that at all. Then we have the Tigers and the Broncos. Here we look at Reece Walsh. If you're owning Reece Walsh against this Tigers team, definitely look for a VC or a C if you can. I think that's a fantastic matchup for him. Beyond that, not too much else. Cowboys and Panthers. After the Cowboys' recent performances, I wouldn't be looking to VC any of them, so no Holmes and no Drinkwater. For the Panthers, obviously, if you own Cleary, I'd be looking for a VC. No, you can't VC this late in the round. I'd captain Cleary, potentially, but it depends if you want to do the Hines matchup against the Raiders. But Cleary, definitely a good option for a captaincy. Dolphins, Knights. Not too much to captain here. Obviously, with no hammer, it's quite tough. But Trey Fuller was electric, but I don't suppose too many people own Trey Fuller, especially since he's fullback only. Jermaine Asako, if you want to be really ballsy, but not for me. Then we have the Raiders and the Sharks, and here's the matchup of the week, in my opinion. Nico Hines against a depleted Raiders side with no Jamal Fogarty. I think it has to be the move after what the Sharks just did to the Cowboys. I think they can do that and then some to the Raiders, unfortunately. So Nico Hines is my captain for the week, which means my VC, as we have got it on now, will go on Reece Walsh. If I can loop that. When do the Dragons play? No. Oh, yeah, I can loop that because the Bulldogs are in the bye. So I can just... how am I going to do that? Let's just make sure I can do that. It's probably not the most riveting content right now, but with the Bulldogs in the bye, I would need to captain a Bulldogs player. So that'd be Josh Curran or Sam Hughes. Now I can't do Hughes because because my front rowers play before Walsh. Can I do Curran? Yes, I could. Yes. But who would I? It's quite difficult to work out how this is going to work. When do the Titans play? Early. They're the first game. So it'd have to be Kai Pearce-Paul that would make way, but then I'd want to put a reserve on him, which maybe Luke Brooks just doesn't get a reserve this week. And I go Morgan Smithies. There you go. Sorry, Luke Brooks, you're done. Just in case I want to loop Oh, I want Luke Brooks playing. This is tough. This is tough. This is tough. I really want to play Luke Brooks. I don't really want to do Morgan Smithies. But if I want to play Kai Pearce-Paul as well, then I have to be able to put a reserve on him and put Curran into my side to be my captain option. I don't know. I think I'll work that out later in the round, and maybe I'll let you guys know on the stories or something. So if you want to know more about that, you can head over to the Instagram, and I'll keep you guys updated. But that sort of wraps us up for the sit v start and the captain options, which means we're done and dusted here, guys. So yeah, once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We're getting a lot of support on the YouTube videos, so thank you guys so much for actually tuning in. It means the world to me. Love seeing the views go up and everybody engage and chat about it. We are looking for sponsorships. If anybody's watching this and looking to sponsor us, working hard. We're very consistent with what we put out on the Chip and Chase podcast. So sponsorships would be lovely. I'm also looking for people to collaborate with. So if you know your footy, if you want to get involved in some content creation and some podcasts, reach out to me on Instagram or at my email, which you can find in my Instagram. That's just chipandchasepodcast@gmail.com. And the Instagram is chipandchase at Instagram. So yeah, reach out to me on them if you want to. If you think you know your stuff and you want to get involved in a bit of content creation, whether it's Supercoach or just normal footy, reach out and we can talk about it and we can maybe discuss something there. And if you are looking to potentially sponsor me, also reach out via the Instagram or the email. I'd really appreciate that. But once again, guys, thank you guys for tuning into this one, and I'll see you guys next time.